Hey there, everybody. Welcome into Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. We've got some news to get to here as Texas basketball has officially fired head coach Chris Beard. This has kind of been a month in the making here following his domestic violence felony charge. We'll see what happens on the legal side, of course, as that is ongoing. But Texas has made the decision to go ahead and part ways. Do want to get credit to Kirk Bohls and the Austin American-Statesman, as he had it first saying Texas basketball coach Chris Beard has been fired. He did also add that he was fired for cause, a.k.a. that Texas does not plan on giving Beard his buyout due to the felony charges that he is facing. Rodney Terry will remain as the interim head coach, the acting head coach for the remainder of the season, and quite frankly, I think a potential trial run for him to get the head coaching gig permanently. We'll talk about that and some other candidates later on in the show of who could replace Chris Beard permanently after this season. But for the rest of this year, it will be Rodney Terry. Now, Chris Beard's lawyer, Perry Minton, wrote a letter to the university, which Texas had a pretty big response to that we'll get to in a second. But this was a snippet of it that I wanted to get to you guys. He says, I want to be on the record as emphatically stating and memorializing, that Coach Beard has not done anything to violate provision of his contract with the University of Texas. Now, he's not saying in that snippet that Chris Beard didn't do anything wrong, but I think what he's saying is he believes that the charges will get dropped. He actually did say that in a deeper section of the letter, which basically what he's saying is if there's no felony charge, then they can't fire him for cause. So I'm sure we have not heard the end of this from the legal contractual sides of this from Beard and his camp, but we'll see how this plays out. Now, Texas's response to that letter was this, somewhat. It's a super long letter. We're not going to get to all of it, but it says, Chris Beard engaged in unacceptable behavior that makes him unfit to serve as head coach at our university. Instead of immediately terminating Mr. Beard, the university exercised thoughtful restraint to allow time for additional material facts to emerge. Our evaluation of Mr. Beard's fitness for service is not contingent on whether he is also convicted of a particular crime or whether those charges are dismissed at some point. Additionally, your letter this morning reveals that Mr. Beard does not understand the significance of the behavior he knows he engaged in or the ensuing events that impaired his ability to effectively lead our program. So Texas essentially is saying there, look, we'll see what happens legally, but they feel confident in some of the accusations and the research they've done, and ultimately decided this is not someone we want to lead our program at the end of the day. So we'll ask you, was firing Chris Beard the right move? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Again, we probably have not heard the end of this, but we do know that he is not going to lead the Texas Longhorns anymore. Now, coming up here in a few moments, 10 candidates that could replace Beard next season and beyond. Again, Rodney Terry will be the acting head coach for the remainder of this season, the role he served in the prior 5 games. But we will take a look at some other names as well, so stay tuned for that. But first, I do want to get to today's sponsor, as today's show is sponsored by Fume. Be smart, don't start. Kick the habit and put it out before it puts you out. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. Fume is not a vape, it's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. Instead of pods filled with potentially harmful chemicals like a vape, Fume uses core infused with plants like peppermint and cinnamon for delicious natural flavors. Fume's new version 2 model is snappy and tactile with an adjustable airflow dial and a magnetic end cap. Your fingers will always have something to do. It's Fume's goal to make switching easy and even enjoyable. They have thousands of 5-star reviews from people just like you who've successfully switched when other solutions just did not work. Head to tryfume.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors and the new version 2 Fume to help kickstart your positive habits. That's tryfum.com/chatsports, and use code chatsports to save an additional 10% off on your order today. The device comes in this nice box right here, very easy to hold and use at your pleasure whenever you choose. Again, 10% off when you go to tryfum.com/chatsports. One more time, it's tryfum.com/chatsports. Promo code chatsports for 10% off. That link and code in the description of this video. All right, let's get to some replacements for Beard. Again, for the millionth millionth time, Rodney Terry, he's the interim head coach, but I do think there's a possibility he could get the head coaching gig permanently. For one, he has been a head coach before at Fresno State and at UTEP. Now, he didn't have a ton of success, especially at UTEP, but those are two not exactly easy jobs, I would say. He certainly didn't have the talent that he's got at his disposal now at the University of Texas. This is a team that is ranked number 6 in the country right now. Did lose their last game, but he's 5-1 since he's taken over. They're going to be a top 10, top 15 team all year probably if they live up to expectations. If this team performs, especially in the postseason, let's say Rodney Terry leads this team to the Sweet 16 or beyond. It's going to be hard to not give him the gig. You know why? Because Texas has not gotten to the second weekend in the NCAA tournament since 2008. I mean, that would be 15 years. If Terry can pull that off, you're going to be hard-pressed not, giving him the opportunity to take over this program. It seems like the players have responded well to him taking over, so we'll see. Big couple of months for him, big opportunity for him to get this gig permanently. What do you guys think? Should Texas make Rodney Terry the permanent head coach? Type 1 for yes or type 2 for no? I think it's too early to make that declaration, but I think, again, if he does his part and this team makes some noise, I think he's going to have a decent chance. Okay, Royale Ivey is definitely going to be a name that's talked about a lot over the next couple of months. Brooklyn Nets assistant coach, and by the way, the Nets are red hot. A couple of things just for the Nets side of it. A, he's got relevant NBA experience, and B, Kevin Durant plays for the Nets, and Kevin Durant and Royale Ivey are tight, and Durant, even though he only spent 1 year at Texas, is the best player to ever come through Austin. And on top of all of that, Royale Ivey interviewed for the job in 2021. Now, Chris Beard was always their top target. That made sense. What he did at Texas Tech, he was a Texas alum. He was the guy to go get at that point in time. There's no way Texas could have known this all was going to happen. So I don't think anybody's going to be critical of Texas for going to hire Chris Beard over Royale Ivey 2 years ago. But maybe now you bring Royale Ivey home. He was a 4-year starter at Texas. At one point had more starts than anybody else in program history. I still think that might be true with 126 career starts. He was a glue guy as a player. He's been a good assistant coach for a few years. I think at some point he's going to get a chance. Now, it's a big leap to be the head coach at the University of Texas as a career assistant, but I do think this has been something that's been in the works for a while, that maybe he could be the guy that takes over this program one day. Keep an eye on this. I think there's a chance this happens. How about Jay Wright? Jay Wright, who's only 61, 62, can't remember the exact age, the ex-Villanova head coach after he walked away after last season. Now, he retired, essentially. Now, he's still young enough. This would certainly be a pipe dream hire. I don't know how realistic, if it's realistic at all. I have no idea if Jay Wright is interested, but we've seen coaches in the past decide to walk away 55, 60 years old, and, after a year or two, get that itch to come back and coach once again. Now, I think more likely, as we look at Jay Wright's resume here, just an incredible run at Villanova, 18 NCAA tournaments, 4 Final Fours, 2 national championships, 10 conference championships. I think what's more likely, if Jay Wright were to coach again, let's say, and I'm blanking on the name, the guy who replaced him at Villanova, let's say he doesn't work out 2, 3, 4 years down the line, and Villanova wants Jay Wright to come back. That seems like a possibility for him to do that. What I will say this, Jay Wright, if Texas were to pull this off, if they want to throw big money at him, which they've got the resources to do that, he would bring instant credibility as a winner, as a champion, as a college basketball coach, with no controversy whatsoever. There is nothing public about Jay Wright that is an X mark next to his resume. Like, he's a winner, he's done it the right way, he's never been connected to any controversies that I'm aware of. Obviously, replacing Chris Beard, producer Coop made this joke, and it was a joke. He's like, Rick Pitino. You can't hire Rick Pitino to replace Chris Beard. I mean, it's not going to work. So, Jay Wright, clean cut, winner. If you could somehow pull it off, that would be an absolute home run. Now, make sure you guys subscribe to us here at Chat Sports if you want more college football, occasional college basketball, NBA, NFL coverage. When there's big stories outside of the NFL, NBA, and college football, which is our main coverage here, we cover it just like this, Chris Beard's legal status and now firing, and Texas basketball coaching candidates. So we do a lot of stuff here at Chat Sports. So go ahead and subscribe. You will not regret it. All right, next candidate here, Jamie Dixon, the TCU head basketball coach. You're probably thinking TCU basketball. Well, a couple things. One, Chris Del Conte, the Texas AD, poached Jamie Dixon from the University of Pittsburgh back in, I believe, 2016 to take over the TCU job. So they know each other. They're very tight. Del Conte, about a year after that, a year or two later, ends up as the Texas AD. So he's hired him before. He could certainly try to do it again. Now, you look at Dixon's resume, and if you think it's up to par for Texas, Pittsburgh had a great run. Now, often they fell short in the tournament earlier than his caliber of teams. 11 tournaments, only 2 Sweet 16s, only 1 Elite 8, but won a bunch of games, won a couple Big East titles, won a Big East tournament, I believe, and that's when the Big East was just phenomenal. And at TCU, taking over a job that was just tough, right? I mean, the TCU has not done anything in basketball since the 80s and 90s, has a well above 500 record, has gone to the tournament twice in 6 seasons, won his TCU's first NCAA tournament game in 35 years last year. In his first year, led them to the NIT championship. I'll add this as well. You're thinking, okay, Dixon, he's a TCU alum. Why would he leave? He flirted with the UCLA job in 2019. In fact, there is pretty strong evidence that he would have taken that job had there not been a buyout issue in his contract that UCLA wasn't willing to meet. So, it's not like he hasn't considered leaving before. Now, I think he's pretty ingrained at TCU now. He is an alum, like I said. This has been 3 years later. He's got the Horned Frogs in the top 20 in the country, but Texas has money. He knows their AD. Del Conte wants him and throws big money. Certainly something that could be a possibility. How about Joe Golding, the UTEP head coach? If you don't know Joe Golding, he was the head coach at Abilene Christian, ACU, when they beat Texas and Shaka Smart back in the 2021 NCAA tournament, which ended Smart's tenure at Texas. I mean, they win the Big 12 tournament, Shaka's best season in Austin, losing the first round, and Texas decided to part ways, which I didn't disagree with that move. And brother-in-law of Sonny Dykes, who reports are that Del Conte wanted him a couple years ago, but boosters wanted Steve Sarkisian in football. That's a totally different story. But Golding is moving up the ranks, takes ACU to the tournament, beats Texas at UTEP, wins 20 games in his first year last year, above 500 this year. That would be a leap, certainly, but a coach that Texas is certainly very familiar with. All right, there you go. There are 5 primary candidates that I wanted to kind of take a deep dive in. We'll take a look at a few others in a second, but what do you guys think? Who should Texas hire as their next head basketball coach? Am I forgetting someone? Is there someone else you want? Let me know in the comment section below who you think Texas should hire next. All right, some other notable names. Kelvin Sampson, the Houston head coach. He's done a phenomenal job there. Former Oklahoma head coach, had violations there, but in the era of NIL, I think Sampson, he's clear. He's good to go. So that would be someone you could certainly try to hire. Grant McCasland at North Texas, he's had a lot of success there. NCAA tournament appearance. I think won the regular season conference championship last year before losing in the Conference USA championship game, so had them on the cusp again. And they beat Purdue in the NCAA tournament a couple years ago. Rick Barnes, producer Coop wanted me to throw him on that. He ain't coming back. But, hey, no controversies around him. Fred Hoiberg, I mean, if this was 5 years ago, maybe he's struggling at Nebraska, but has had success in the Big 12 before at Iowa State. And then Richard Pitino. You can't hire Rick, but maybe you can hire Richard, who's got New Mexico rolling right now. I think they're still unbeaten. They just lost their first game, I'm being told. So still having a good year, doing a nice job over there in New Mexico. All right, there you have it. Chris Beard has been fired. We'll see if we hear more details in the coming days and weeks about that decision. And, of course, I'm sure Beard's going to fight this and try to get some of that buyout. So we'll see what happens. And we'll see how Texas plays this year and if they ultimately end up doing a coaching search after the season. I'm Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon here at Chat Sports.